In a small sun-drenched village called Ikorodu, a young man named Chike blossomed in the embrace of a loving Christian family. Each Sunday was a joyous ritual, as the family wore their best clothes and made their way to the small church, where hymns floated through the air like fragrant incense. After church, Chike would return home to help his family toil in the fertile fields, feeling the warmth of the sun on his back and the earth beneath his feet. Despite this peaceful life, a restless curiosity bubbled beneath Chike's surface. He often found himself mesmerized by the healers and preachers who visited the village, with their stories woven with threads of miracles and ancient magic. The air crackled with excitement whenever they spoke, and Chike hung on their every word, captivated by the promise of something greater than himself. One fateful night, with a flickering candle illuminating the pages of an old book on spiritual practices, Chike's imagination took flight. The idea of possessing special powers danced tantalizingly in his mind. If I could help my village, through healing and deliverance, he mused, it would be amazing. Little did he know, this innocent yearning would soon set him on a treacherous path, one that would blur the lines between light and shadow. As he closed the book and lay in bed, the weight of his thoughts pressed heavily on him. He turned from side to side, unable to shake the feeling that destiny was calling him, beckoning him to explore the unknown. Yet, within that excitement lay a dark undercurrent he could not yet see, a warning that his journey could lead to perilous consequences. One bright evening, Chike strolled home with friends, laughter ringing in the air like music. The moon hung low, casting an ethereal glow over the path where he walked alone the rest of his journey, when he noticed a figure standing just off the road. It was Ifeoma, a breathtaking girl whose presence seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly allure. "Hello, Chike," she greeted, her voice like honey, laced with mystery. "I've seen you around. You have a special light in you." Chike's heart raced. His palms suddenly sweaty. "Really? You think so?" "Yes. I do. I can help you become even greater," Ifeoma replied, her eyes sparkling with a hypnotic intensity. "Imagine having the power to prophesy and healing, gaining wealth, that will change your life." A whirlwind of emotions swept through Chike. Excitement, battling with anxiety. "That sounds incredible. But who are you?" he asked, confused. "We will get to know more about each other, don't worry," Ifeoma replied. As they talked, he felt an intoxicating connection with her. But beneath the surface, a lining of doubt nagged at him, something about Ifeoma felt otherworldly, almost too perfect. Shadows flitted at the edges of his mind, whispering warnings that he chose to ignore, captivated by her enchanting words and beauty. With each passing day, Chike and Ifeoma grew closer. She became his muse, his confidant, urging him to start his own church. "You can be a powerful leader," she promised, her voice soft yet insistent, like a siren's call. When Chike finally opened the doors to his small church, the villagers flocked to him, eager to hear the sermons that dripped with charisma and fervor. Chike stood before them, feeling the warmth of their admiration wash over him. "Your words are so powerful, Chike," an elderly villager exclaimed after a service. "We believe in you and the miracles you perform." However, the price of this newfound power soon revealed itself. Ifeoma demanded that he participate in rituals that involved him to have intimate encounters with local women. The allure of influence overshadowed his conscience as he began to comply, blinded by the immediate benefits. He paid these women handsomely, convincing himself that he was simply providing for them, but he remained oblivious to the spiritual toll his actions were exacting. With every encounter, he cleaned up the liquid from the women and gave the handkerchief to Ifeoma. This act unknowingly to him drained their essence, binding them to a fate of infertility and despair. Yet, the sweet taste of success soon turned bitter as Ifeoma's demands escalated. "To keep your power, you must participate in certain rituals," she insisted one day, with her smile curving in a way that sent shivers down his spine. "What kind of rituals?" Chike asked, a sense of foreboding creeping in. "You'll see. Just trust me," she replied, her voice now laced with something darker, a hint of control that sent alarm bells ringing in Chike's mind. If you are enjoying this story so far, kindly hit the like and subscribe button, thank you. So despite the unease settling in his gut, he pushed the feeling aside, blinded by ambition. Little did he realize that each time he complied with her request, he was weaving a web that would ensnare him and harm the innocent souls in his village. As months passed, Chike's church thrived, but with its success came an insatiable hunger for more power. Ifoma's demands escalated, and soon, the young man found himself entangled in a web of darkness that threatened to consume him. The once simple charm of their relationship morphed into an unsettling dependency. Each time he succeeded in gaining more followers, Ifoma insisted on deeper sacrifices, always seeking something more. One fateful night, after a particularly intense service, Ifoma leaned close, her voice a chilling whisper. "Chike, to gain even more followers, you need to make sacrifices. You have to give me the blood of young virgin girls from the village." A surge of panic gripped him. "No, I can't do that." Fear crept into his heart as he weighed the gravity of her request. He loved the attention, the power, but the prospect of harming innocents was a bridge too far. Torn between ambition and morality, Chike was faced with a choice that would alter the course of his life forever. "Then you will lose everything," Ifoma hissed, her once sweet voice now sharp as a blade, revealing her true nature. Chike felt the walls closing in around him, the weight of her threat suffocating. He was trapped in a nightmarish dilemma, the intoxicating allure of power against the haunting whispers of his conscience. Desperation clawed at his insides, and the choice loomed like a dark storm cloud over his soul. Chike's hesitation only fueled Ifoma's rage. In a moment of darkness, she shed her facade, revealing a nightmarish figure cloaked in shadows. "You think you can escape me? I will take everything from you," she shrieked, her voice echoing like a death knell in the night. Fear gripped Chike's heart, a cold dread wrapping around him like chains. The power he once coveted now felt like a curse, a malignant force threatening to consume him entirely. As he lay awake in the stillness of the night, the weight of his choices pressed down on him, and he questioned everything he had become. "What have I done?" he wondered in despair. But amidst the darkness, a flicker of hope sparked within him, a tiny voice whispering, "You can still change and turn away from all of this." Feeling utterly lost, Chike made his way to the old church at the edge of the village, a place steeped in history and wisdom, the same one he used to visit every Sunday. Inside, he found Pastor Enoch, a kind man whose gentle spirit radiated warmth and understanding. "Pastor, I need help," Chike confessed, tears streaming down his face. "I've made terrible choices, and Ifoma has a hold on me." Pastor Enoch listened with deep compassion. "Ifoma's power is not real, Chike. It's a trap meant to lead you away from God." As they knelt in prayer, a sense of peace enveloped Chike, but he could feel Ifoma's presence lurking, ready to lash out. Each prayer they offered felt like a desperate plea for liberation, yet the shadows whispered doubt, reminding him of the dark choices he had made. The moment of reckoning arrived when Ifoma confronted Chike during one of his fervent prayer sessions. The atmosphere thickened, the air turning cold as she manifested before them, her beauty twisted into something grotesque and threatening. "Do you really think your prayers can save you?" she sneered, her voice dripping with malice. Chike steadied himself, feeling a surge of resolve. "I won't let you control me anymore," he declared, his voice steady. Pastor Enoch joined him, standing firm in the face of darkness. "In the name of God, we reject you, Ifoma," he proclaimed, his authority echoing in the chapel. Chike's heart pounded fiercely, but he held on to the love of God and the words of his pastor. He wouldn't back down, he would stand and fight. As the confrontation escalated, the very walls of the church shook, reverberating with the clash of light and darkness. Pastor Enoch's prayers created a barrier around them, a sanctuary against Ifoma's wrath. Chike felt her power trying to crush him, but with each shout of defiance, he found strength within himself. "I choose love and faith," he shouted, every word ringing with conviction. "I reject you." With each proclamation, Ifoma's hold weakened. Chike felt a surge of energy coursing through him, clarity breaking through the fog of despair. He realized he was no longer just a pawn, he was a warrior fighting for his soul. As the battle raged, Pastor Enoch revealed the truth about Ifoma, a revelation that shattered Chike's last doubts. "She is not just a woman, she is a dark spirit sent to lead you astray," he cried. Chike stood at a pivotal crossroads, the weight of his past choices crashing down on him. He cried out to God, desperate for guidance. Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped the church, pushing Ifoma back with a force that felt otherworldly. "No! This can't be happening," she screamed, her power dissipating like smoke in the wind as she began to fade. Chike felt a heavy burden lift from him, the anguish he had caused others flooding back into his mind. In that moment, he begged for forgiveness, not just for himself, but for all those he had wronged. With a final, anguished roar, Ifoma was cast out of the church, the peace that flooded the room palpable and profound. Chike collapsed to the ground, utterly spent yet overwhelmed by a new sense of freedom. Pastor Enoch rushed to his side, wrapping him in a warm embrace. "You've won, Chike. You chose the light," he whispered, tears of relief in his eyes. As the villagers, drawn by the tumult, streamed into the church, they paused at the sight before them. Chike, realizing the harm he had caused, addressed the villagers who gathered inside the church. He spoke openly about his past, the seductive law of power, and the consequences of his actions. With tears in his eyes, he confessed the pain he had inflicted on the women of the village, and he vowed to make amends. The villagers listened, a mixture of disbelief and compassion filling their hearts. This was not the man they had known, a healer, who was actually a manipulator, but now a penitent soul seeking redemption. With the support of Pastor Enoch, Chike set out to restore the lives he had harmed. He organized community gatherings to address the women who had been affected by his actions, offering heartfelt apologies and support. The process was not easy, some were angry, others hurt beyond words. But Chike faced their pain with humility, willing to bear the weight of his past mistakes. He provided financial assistance, counseling, and resources to help them rebuild their lives. As time passed, the villagers began to see the sincerity of his intentions. Chike opened a new chapter of his ministry, focusing on healing, restoration, and genuine connections. He emphasized community support and empowerment, ensuring that the village would rise together, free from the shadows that had haunted them. The church, once filled with the promise of false miracles, transformed into a beacon of hope and healing. They could see the light radiating from him, illuminating the shadows that once clung to his soul. As they entered the church, they found a man reborn, no longer the charismatic figure lured by power, but a humble servant of God, ready to mend the broken ties he had severed. Chike rose, his heart pounding with gratitude and resolve. Months later, the village began to flourish, the wounds of the past slowly healing. Chike became a guiding light, leading his congregation with a renewed sense of purpose. He frequently revisited the teachings of his youth, instilling in others the values of love, forgiveness, and resilience. His journey from darkness to light inspired many, and his story became a powerful testimony to the strength of faith. The influence of Ifoma faded into a distant memory, her hold on the village broken. Chike often reflected on the choices that had led him astray, grateful for the second chance he had been given. He realized that true power lay not in domination or fame but in compassion, service, and the ability to uplift others. As the village celebrated its revival, Chike stood at the forefront, a testament to the transformative power of redemption. In the years that followed, he continued to minister to his community, helping others discover their paths and heal their wounds. Chike's story became woven into the fabric of the village, a reminder that no one is beyond redemption, and that even in the face of darkness, the light of faith can guide one back home. The village thrived, rooted in love and faith, and Chike became a beloved servant of God, cherished by all for his journey from shadows to light. If you enjoyed the story, like the video and comment on what you learned, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel before leaving for more enchanting tales like this one. Thank you. But wait, there's more adventure just around the corner. Our next tale is filled with even more excitement, mystery, and lessons you won't want to miss. See you in the next story.